Hello everyone, my name is Khaled Siddiqui, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to fix a loose USB port in a Garmin Nuvi 1450 GPS. Nuvi 1450. Okay, so as you can see, this is the GPS. Let's see if the camera can capture the model number. There you go. Yeah, so that's what it is, 1450 GPS unit. And also, this unit needs a new battery, so we will be replacing the battery, and we will be replacing the actually fixing the USB port. You don't replace a USB port. Usually the USB port connections get loose, you need to resolder it. It's not a question of replacing it. Okay, so let's get on this and learn how we do this. The GPS unit looks like this, and the screws that need to open this are hiding underneath this bezel. You need to remove this bezel using your fingernails. If you have long fingernails, there isn't any tool better than your own fingernails. Mine's are okay. It should do the job. Let's see. Let's see. There you go. One side came out. The second side came out. And as you can see, it's very critical, so you have to be very careful not to break it. Okay, and voila, we have this out. Now if you notice the way the mechanism at which this is being attached, if you know the mechanism, it's very easy to remove it. The mechanism is that on these edges there are little tabs like pushing going in, and they will snap onto these little gaps here, and also these little tabs go into these little gaps. Okay, all right, so this is out. Now we have 4 screws. Question is, what size screwdriver do we need? Okay, so let's see, make sure. Okay, so this is the size that we need, T5. T5 is the size of the screwdriver that we need. Now I buy Weha tools. Weha is supposedly one of the best tools, but you don't necessarily have to buy the cream of the crop tool. Any cheap screwdriver would do the job. However, it's very critical to use the correct size screwdriver, because if you're using the wrong size, what happens is that you will be stripping the heads of the screws, and once you strip it, then good luck removing that screw. You will never be able to remove that screw once you strip it. Okay, so now 4 screws are out, as you can see. Now it's time to detach the front face from the back. You have to be very careful because you don't want to damage the screen cable. Okay, so you do like this. My nail is going in between like that, and my other nails are going here like this. Okay, so let's turn that off. That puppy turned on. You have to press and hold down for it to turn off. Okay, there you go. It's off now. Now, once this is out, see, this is out and this is out. Okay, now you have to lift the screen very gently so you don't damage the flat ribbon cable underneath the screen. So you have to lift it very gently. Watch. Like that. This is the critical part that you don't want to damage. Okay. Now we have to disengage this. Now I'm going to tell you how to disengage this. Let's see if I can get a better shot from this angle. Okay. So as you can see from the side angle, what we want to do, I think I zoomed too much. It doesn't, the camera cannot focus with that much zoom. There. So what we want to do is, you see this tab, we have to lift it to release that cable, okay? So I'm going to use my nails again, watch. Like that. You lift it, the screen is released, okay? That's how you do that. Now, 2 more screws to remove, 1 and 2. This screw has a tape. Sometimes there is a tape, like a, you know, clear tape. Sometimes there aren't any clear tapes. The same size screw will fit this. I mean the same size screwdriver will work on all of them. Okay, let me go from a different angle. Okay, so both screws are out. Both screws are out. Now we lift this up and gently unplug the speaker wire. When you're unplugging the speaker wire, you grab it from the plastic, not from the wires, okay? Same thing with the battery wire. You push it from the plastic. Okay, so here is our defective connector, which we need to fix. In order to access this, we have to fold this metallic plate this way. There is no way your soldering iron can reach otherwise, okay? So in order to fold this up, we have to heat this point right there. You have to heat this point for it to go up. Let me zoom a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this point in order to release this metallic plate, in order to lift this up, and so I'm able to solder it. Okay, so now it should be warm enough. The soldering iron needs to warm up, right? So now it should be warm enough. Okay, I disengaged it. And watch. You have to bend it straight like that, and this is where you're going to solder. Now watch how loose these connections are. Watch this area right here, okay? Watch. Do you see how loose it is? You see how all the pins are basically disengaged. The only place that's connected is the back of the connector, which is this right here. This is the only place that is connected. Everything else is loose. Okay, so now we're going to solder it. Now, in order for us to solder that, we have to put some soldering rosin so that it doesn't develop solder bridges. Because if we just take some solder and solder it, it will develop solder bridges. So this is, you know, soldering rosin, which you can buy when you buy your soldering equipment. We have to put some. Okay. So let's get some rosin. Very little amount. See this? This is way too big. Okay, so rosin, this amount of rosin, look at the how small it is. Oh, this is magnetic. This amount of rosin is plenty to prevent solder bridges. You don't want to put too much rosin, because if you put too much rosin, what happens is that you will have the rosin itself will block your view. There you go. Now it's time to warm up the rosin and let those solder joints reconnect. Okay, let's make sure the tip of your soldering iron is clean. Okay, see how all the rosin got, spread. Okay. Okay, so it looks like my surgery was successful. As I move this, they are not moving. However, these two endpoints need additional solder. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it additional solder. Okay, let's make sure. It's very nice and tight. Okay, so now that we know it's nice and tight, it's time to fold this back in place. In order to fold it back in place, you need long nose pliers. Okay, so let's grab a long nose plier. This should do the job. This is a nice little long nose plier. Make sure it's all clean. Okay, now you can never straight this back like original, like factory, because obviously you bent it, but you try to, hold on a second, this camera is out of focus. Are you serious? Okay, let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, so you can never straighten this like factory, but you could, do as much as you can to make it look near perfect. Now, you see that little thing? You have to make sure that enters back here, and then you solder it from the back. Okay, so now we will do that. Let's zoom in again. We're soldering it from the back. I put a little rosin on the soldering tip, soldering iron's tip. Now we need a little solder. Oh. Be careful not to put any soldering paste or anything on this, because on some models, although this one doesn't have it, let me see if this one does have it. Let's see. Yeah, this one doesn't, but on some models there is a microphone, and the microphone goes here, and the ports of the microphone will connect with this right here. So this one doesn't have a microphone. I believe the 1490 has a microphone which has a Bluetooth. Okay, so it looks good. Everything looks good. And now we're ready to put it back together. But we have to also change the battery. Now this has nothing to do with putting this back together, has nothing to do with the battery. So we will put this back together regardless that the actually no. You know what? We have to change the battery before we put this back together, because it's very hard to plug in the battery. So let me get the new battery. before getting the new battery, I'm going to show you how to remove this. You simply get a flat screwdriver, slide it underneath the battery, and go up, and go in and up slowly and slowly so you don't break it. And voila, you got your battery out. The battery has a sticky back. That sticky back is what's holding it attached to that. Now let's get the new battery. Okay, so this is the new battery. Now the new battery doesn't have sticky back, so we are using a 3M double-sided padded tape. You can use any double-sided tape, and even carpet tape would work. You know, carpet tape that they use for putting carpet? You can get those cheap. You can get the entire roll for like, okay, I don't know, $10, something like that. Okay, so let's see. Push it in, make sure. Okay, now you see where it says for Nuvi 200? This works for all Nuvi 200, 255, 265, 1200, 1300, 1350, 1390, 1400, 1450. All of them use the exact same battery. So basically, it's 3.7 volt and 1.25 amperes, as you can see on the original battery. Same exact, parameters. 3.7, 1.25 amperes. Yeah, so they're exact same battery. Okay. Now we will plug in the battery cord first. Like that, the battery cord first, and the speaker second. Now both cords are in. You put it back in. Make sure it's seated properly. It has to be seated properly. Reroute the wires nice and neatly. Okay. Now, just to be on the safe side, so the battery doesn't move around, I'm gonna put a tape as well. I'll put a clear tape just to be on the safe side. I don't necessarily have to. I like to overdo it, We're gonna put back the screws. Okay, both screws are in. Now we plug back in the screen. Remember the screen? How we, had to pull that thing. Let's zoom out a little bit for the camera to be able to focus. So now, when you put back the screen, you do the opposite. You put this out like that. See, it's closed position. Put it in open position, very gently, because this thing breaks. This white thing, it breaks. You put in the screen cable very gently. Make sure that the screen cable is in all the way and is not halfway out or anything, and make sure it's in parallel, not like this end sticking in, this end sticking out, not like that. It's all parallel and all the way in, and then you flip it closed this way, like that. Now this is closed. See, the screen is not moving anywhere. Now put it back in place. After you put it back in place, you put the screen frame. Okay, the screen frame is in. And now I put the screen frame. Okay. And once I put the screen frame, I have 4 screws to put it in. Okay. Okay, so there are all the 4 screws. Close them. Close that. And close the last 2. Tighten it. I don't mean close. Tighten the screws. And you don't over tight it, because you can damage it. Now, when you put this, you see that little hole? That little hole comes to the left, closer to Garmin. Because the models that do have a microphone, that's where the microphone is situated. Again, the 1490 and 1390, which are with the Bluetooth devices, are the only models in this series, 1300, 1200 series, that has the Bluetooth. Okay. Just snapping it back in place, basically. Now, when you snap it back in, remember that it has to snap in on the edges first. There. And the last 2, and voila, we have it all in place. And the puppy should operate. Actually, no, the new battery may not have a charge, so it's not gonna operate. It needs to be charged first. Okay. I don't understand why this camera keeps going off of focus. Okay. It keeps going out of focus. Okay, so now it's powering up. So the USB port surgery was successful because we are getting power. Okay, so everything seems to be good, and I don't see any maps on this. Maybe the map was on the SD card. And now if I unplug it, it will shut off, of course, because the battery doesn't have any power. There, it shut off. But I have to leave it overnight to charge. So that's what I'm gonna do, leave it overnight to charge. So yeah, that was it. That's how you replace the screen and the battery on a Garmin Nuvi 1450 GPS, which is the same as 1350, 1300, 1400, 1490, 1390. All of them are the same exact mechanism, same exact battery. Just the screen size is different. On the 1300 series, the screen is 3.5 inch screen, and on the 1400 series, the screen is 5 inch screen, and on the 1200 series, the screen is even smaller. I believe it's 2.5 inch or 3 inch. All right. No, actually, the 1200 series is 3.5 inch, and then we have the 1300 series, which is 4.5 inch, and then we have the big ones, which is 5 inch, or the 1400 series. Okay, thank you for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe.